Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, how are my snipers doing today? I hope you guys are doing fantastic. Listen, today we're going to be talking about the one and only Turbo coin. Because damn, let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, this thing went absolutely nuclear today, right? The other day it went nuclear. Last time we were covering it, it was literally before the big explosion, and we titled it, right? Turbo is preparing some like next big level moves. I don't remember the exact title, but we're practically saying how, Turbo was preparing some next big level moves. I go to sleep and this whole entire move happens overnight, and of course also during the day. We shot up, right? We shot up a good amount. Even if I just take it from this point here, we shot up 52 damn percent. Okay, our numbers were insane. Okay, I'm not sure if we still have the same numbers, but I remember, at one point, yeah, 615 million in volume. 615 million in volume, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, 382 million in market cap, and we're at, right now currently at 0.0055. Listen, man, you can say whatever you want about this coin, but you cannot deny its moves. You cannot deny how powerful it pumps and the type of waves it is going to make during the peak of altcoin season. I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, this thing is going to move absolutely fire in ways people are going to be shocked. Every time Turbo has this unexpected kind of rally just out of nowhere, like 50%, 70%, whatever is 100%, it shocks me. It does shock me. It's not because I doubt the coin or anything. It's just that it's doing it at a time where, it's not even our time to shine, right? It's not even altcoin season. Bitcoin dominance hasn't even broke yet. Okay. And we're going to look at that in just a second. But we can see, ladies and gentlemen, that we are at, 56,228 holders. Things are looking really good for us. Okay. Things are looking really good for us. And, since I mentioned it, this is Bitcoin dominance. This thing melting off is what's going to cause altcoin season, okay? Because when this dropped from roughly 61, a little bit over 61% down to like 55 and a half, right? Just roughly 6% drop. Altcoins went up a lot. Something like Render tripled. ICP almost tripled. So many coins, doubled, tripled, 2.5x, 1.75, 4x, right? Turbo had its run. And this is the main thing that we're looking for, right? Is the top and eventually a sell-off, sideways movement, and then the biggest sell-off, right? We're looking eventually at one point going from, let's say, 73% down to 40%. We're looking for roughly a 30 to 40% drop this cycle. A couple percent makes something like Turbo go absolutely nuclear, right? So imagine what's going to happen to Turbo when we drop 30%, 35, 40, 45% Bitcoin dominance. And we're going to have the most money we ever had in the, crypto markets. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, right? So we moved past this big zone. We were at 0.0046 just the other day, and the next relative zone was pretty much at 0.0055. Okay. Now you can see right away that there has been a sharp decline, right? In the last couple of hours, we actually have sold off a decent amount, right? Actually take this measuring tool. We've gone down probably like what, 20, 30%, 20% in the span of, like 8 hours or something, right? Even if we count this top over here. So like 8 to 9 hours, right? We've gone 20%. And that's mainly because Bitcoin actually has been taking a dump, right? Bitcoin broke through the other day, but now it is selling off. So look, people, we are on a very important resistance, right? We are, right? We talked about it before, but we'll talk about it very quickly that we are practically in all of the other cycles on its top, right? And, what we want is for us to make sure we retest off the zone, right? Retest off the zone. And then, ladies and gentlemen, of course, shoot back up, right? We don't really want a big fake out. We don't really want to be going back down to 110 or especially 105. At that point, it's invalidated, right? We don't want to be going there. If we do drop, it's, not too much further. So we can kind of start rebuilding a support on the biggest resistance, turning that resistance to support, and then flying high. That is what we want. But when we talk about Turbo's price action in, particular, right? Once again, we were here at this zone. Our next target was 0.0055. It got smashed. Then, ladies and gentlemen, actually, we did sweep the last relevant highs. Those got smashed. But even crazier, we actually smashed the last relevant weekly wick, right? This price action, we can see we just perfectly went above it, right? We can see, right? This was the top right over here, and we perfectly went above it by just a little bit, and we instantly started to sell off. We instantly, sold off. So this is classic manipulation, right? And this is actually a very good sign for the bigger picture. So the reason why these key price points actually do get taken out, ladies and gentlemen, is for multiple reasons, right? The market makers, they know that there are going to be stop losses here, right? Stop loss here and stop loss here. So people that were in a short, right, in a bear or, short, maybe, they had either sell from here, or maybe they had to sell lower, and then they had their stop right here, and then now they got taken out, right? Or, maybe they're selling from here, and then maybe they had their stop somewhere here, and then this wick took it out, right? So that's number one. They take out all the people that are looking to be selling the markets long term. They wreck them. Number two is they also fake out a lot of people that trade a certain way where they actually click maybe buy up here in terms of leverage trading because they think it's going to go to the moon, right? They're like, oh my gosh, we're going to go to the moon like this, right? Or even something like here in particular, right? They're like, oh my God, we're going to just continue going up from this key zone. No, they bait those people too. They put them in buys, right? Well, the people put themselves in buys. They think they're going to be going up because of all the momentum, and then they get wrecked as well, right? They get wrecked as well. The only people that do win are the people that have vision early on. Let's say, someone took a buy from down here, wasn't profits cashed out. And of course, people that take a risk go against, the momentum because of certain knowledge, and they actually try to sell up here, right? To try to sell up here, maybe they do something like this, right? So it's these people that make money. Those are the risk takers, right? Not the people that try to continue with the trend or are bearish and are trying to short Turbo in the long term. So they do that. They do that on purpose so that the next time Turbo starts to build up, right? Whether or not we drop down a little bit lower, go sideways, whatever, is that so when they do pump, right, they already took out all those people, manipulated them. And usually, even by then, right, if we do have another pump, usually does a little fake out first, then it sells off just a little bit, but nothing too crazy. And then it pumps for like the third time, like for real. So, the market makers like to trick us. And that is just the reality, right? That is just the reality. Now, I will say as of right now, this weekly candle does look like kind of okay, right? We obviously don't want it to be too big of a rejection, right? We don't want for it to be too big of a rejection because that means we will be having some decent selling pressure afterwards. Now, of course, there's still a lot of time, right? There's still a lot of time. The furthest we should really be going, and even then, it's a little concerning, is 0.0046. But I would mainly like to see us hold this relative zone right here of 0.0055, right? The 5.5 zone would be a nice area to hold, a nice area to retest, right? Even if we do leak a little bit, right? Boom, go like this. Maybe if we do leak a little bit, but then do something like this, that is totally fine, right? That is totally fine. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, something like a 50% pump in a day is insane, right? Is insane. And if we actually do count from, let's say, the bottom to when it closed at a 37, almost a 38% pump. So that's crazy, right? It's crazy. So yeah, there's bound to be some type of retracement, especially that Bitcoin's bleeding out. But personally, I am not too worried, right? I am not too worried as of right now. Of course, we still obviously have bullish structure, right? Even just from the last times we have the lows, double lows, higher low, higher low, higher low, high, right? We have all these higher highs being formed. Now, of course, we have another higher high, and now we're looking to see where we're going to form a higher low to then hopefully continue pushing up, right? We might see a little bit of sideways movement over the next couple of days, which is still not bad, right? It is still not bad. I don't think we're going to necessarily flip, completely bearish. It wouldn't really make sense. The higher time frame still looks absolutely beautiful, right? We're still on top of this big support, right? We also still have, the shoulder, the head, the shoulder. And of course, I do expect for us to continue momentum overall and for our next destination in the short term to be roughly that 0.00885 area before. Then again, we see some type of rejection. But ultimately, that is it, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you guys did enjoy, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Goodbye.